Hey, we with George here in Texas, and we got an inch and a half of rain, did you say? About an inch and a half?
1.6.
We're back out here before it gets dark, and we, talk about food plots a little bit, but now we're in timber. And I asked George to thin.
Yes.
And the forester, to be honest, his forester had been telling him to thin, isn't that right?
Right.
So between the two of us, we persuaded George to thin for the sake of deer. And what you're seeing behind me is probably about 70, 75 basal feet per acre. We talked about that. Now, it's going to vary in places, less in some, more in others. Never works out perfectly. It's a green carpet. And Daniel and I have been out here. I mean, we're seeing partridge pea, which is a really high-quality quail in deer food, and smilax, of course. Unlike most places we work, there's smilax ends all over that haven't been browsed on. Some have. We got more food than deer, because that's an A-level or ice cream plant, right? And we got all kinds, I won't bore you, but all kinds of species out here. So George, I mean, you have just upped your game tremendously. You've got, when I got here, you had way more deer than food.
Correct.
Now you got more food than deer, and we just got all this rain, it's getting ready to get warm. This will blow up. Now folks, this won't be short. Remember, this was just failed and then burned. Right. It's just growing. This would be knee to waist tall come deer season.
Right.
Cover and food. And I mean, I'm telling George, I just walked out there on that ridge right behind you. She's probably not telling that camera, but put a redneck blind right there. You're covering 280 degrees. Wind's gonna blow somewhere. And in this type of habitat, deer are so comfortable. Feed bed, feed bed, feed bed. It's not like staring at a food plot. I love food plots, but a lot of people only work on food plots, as you did.
Right.
And you're giving up all this acres of food.
Right.
High quality food.
Right. Well, the closest food plot's over here, and the deer would always come out of this bedding area over here and travel that way. And now, like I said earlier, when you go out with the thermal, you see deer all over this now. They aren't even going to the food plot because there's enough food out here that they would rather eat some of it. And
or get to the food plot a little later.
Yeah, get there a little later.
Yeah, let me clarify with George here. Thermal deer this summer. George is his real name, so we gotta be careful. George is like me. He's out, he told me earlier, unless he's traveling for work or something, he's out here every day. He's on the property every day. Is that right, George?
I try to be.
Just enjoying it, maybe listening to a turkey or, seeing whatever, seeing deer sign, trapping coyotes, whatever it is. And that's a great way to enjoy your property. But I think my message here is you gotta get sunlight down to the ground. That's why we thinned. If you're anywhere that pines grow like this, sweet gums is almost always an issue. So you see some dead sweet gum carcasses, you need to apply a Mazapir. I tend to use about 16 ounces per acre. I've talked to your forester, he goes even at a lighter rate. That would save a little money. I want to make sure I kill all the sweet gums, so it's not that much money you're saving. And then burn, and then follow up burning. So you're done with herbicide in your lifetime, probably.
I hope so.
We've had a dormant season burn with all the fuel that was here after the thinning.
Right.
Because it was a hot fire. You can see scars on these pines 10, 12 feet tall, but they're still green. Pines are built for fire. And then you follow up the next rotation, hopefully with the growing season, late growing season, July, August, September.
Next.
Yeah. And that will stimulate more the broadleaf plants and knock the grass back. A lot of grass coming on, which is fine. And we want to blend a grass for cover and forbs for food. I'm just telling you, folks, Daniel and I work all over. This is one of the better pine management programs we've seen in a long time. And I'm really proud of you, George, for taking the risk and implementing this plan. And I think you're motivated now to do it on the rest of the property.
Oh, we are doing it on the rest of the property. Yeah, it's just amazing how quickly it's happened. That's what truly blows my mind, is that this is the end of 2 years, and in this 2 years, the progress that's been made compared to the progress that I thought I was making since like the mid-80s, 1980s, to 2 years ago was nothing. And the last 2 years now to today it's just over the top. It's miraculous almost. It's God-given, and it's just amazing to see it. I can't stress enough how great this process works, and I hope everybody's open-minded and accepts the accepts the suggestions to do the way they're talking about doing it, because it works. I honestly didn't agree with it when we started, and I'm here to tell you that it works. And if you let the Creator do His magic, it's a lot better than what I ever could have done in many ways.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Ward Laboratories, Burris Optics, National Land Realty, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Gloves.
This is typical pine forest in a lot of southeast. It's closed canopy, some trees dying because they haven't been thinned enough, and almost all brown on the ground. A few green come through, but I don't see any quality deer food growing. It's just not even good cover. You get down where deer lives, quail lives, turkey lives, it's pretty open because it's shaded out. Probably a little bit of smilax in here. This needs to be thinned, right? It's poorly managed pine woods for the pine value and habitat value. But we're just gonna walk this few yards here. Just hang with me here. Just going across an interior road here, because over here we've done some thinning, and again we moved this down. I'm gonna call this closer to 60 basal feet per acre here, maybe a little bit over that, and get off where the skidder ran here. Get up in here a little bit. You can, I can see the sunset over there. You couldn't see it in there. Sun setting, all kind of little green coming up. Get up in here a little bit, and all of a sudden, I'm seeing good browse species coming on. And I'm actually seeing where deer have browsed a little bit. And now we're early on, so this is gonna warm up and get green and be awesome cover and awesome food. And these pine trees are gonna grow much quicker, because when we go up on the canopy, they're not squeezing each other. All the needles are getting sunshine. They can all photosynthesize and grow much quicker. So from a future pine value point of view, income to the landowner, and a wildlife point of view, wildlife habitat point of view for deer, quail, turkey, and even non-game species, this is much richer. So my good friend Craig Harper, Craig and I went to Clemson at the same time, overlapped some. I'm a little bit older. Dr. Craig Harper, Tennessee, University of Tennessee, done a lot of work on native habitat. And Craig and his grad students have found that, I would call this really good quality, but really good quality native habitat, you're somewhere in that 1,000-pound range. When I'm talking this, I'm always talking dry weight, all the moisture taken out, because deer ingest, like right now it's really moist, plants are 70% water, so they're gonna urinate, salivate that out. They're just worried about the actual plant material. So dry weight, put this in an oven, bake all that moisture out, they're gonna eat about 5 pounds a day. We've been doing this for 100-pound doe, 5 pounds a day, 1,500 pounds a year in round numbers. That's a lot. Well, an acre of this on good habitat, again, I call this good, throughout the year will produce about 1,000 pounds per acre. But you're managing so many acres versus a 3-acre food plot.
Right.
That it's a significant improvement to a deer herd, quail population versus a closed canopy pine or hardwood forest.
Right. This used to be just covered in pine straw, and I haven't seen many deer eat pine straw, but there is plenty of stuff out here for them to eat now, just natural vegetation.
So I'm talking to George off camera here, and you hear me say this a lot. I'm kind of known for it, but George, we got so much food and we're gonna have so much cover. You're likely to have an awesome fawn crop for years to come. You gotta harvest does. Right. It's no property just keeps producing, almost no property, keeps producing enough food to stay in front of the deer herd. Because does, if they're super healthy, they're pop triplets. You know, that's right. 3 for 1 is a huge investment return right. over multiple years.
Right.
So we can't ignore doe harvest on a property like this. You guys at home, or George, we've talked a lot about this, again off camera. And even though you're improving habitat, you might say, well, I'm gonna wait a few years, let my deer herd catch up. I've done this before and made a mistake. And they almost always overshoot. So you kind of want to be working on does as your habitat And George did last year. He harvested more does you did the year before, right?
That's correct.
And this year, I'm asking him to at least double that, if not more, because you got some really healthy deer out here.
Right.
And does making more fawns mean bucks almost always, again, have bigger antlers per age class. George's trying to grow a 6-year-old buck, so there's going to be some big old bucks out here.
Right.
And you saw some good ones last year.
We did. We saw a lot of good bucks, and this year it's going to be even better.
I think so. I think we're going to see some pictures from George this fall that going, man, did you slide up to Iowa? Where are you hunting, George? It's going to be right here in Texas. East Texas, which is not known for big deer.
It's not.
And, you know,
we're trying.
Yeah, you're going to do it. You're going to do it without the need of protein feed or, you know, this is low fence. This is not a high fence ranch. You're not shipping in any deer. I personally won't work for a ranch that ships in any deer. But this, folks, this is stunning. I commend you for the work you've done.
Well, thank you. Well, it's been so easy to do once we figured out what to do, or once I listened and took the advisement. And so it's working. The release process is working. Thinning these trees has allowed the sun to hit the ground, and the good Lord has just made everything happen like it's supposed to. And so we're seeing the benefit. We're seeing a lot more turkey, seeing a lot more deer. The deer in general are healthier, and no matter what Mother Nature throws at them now, they have a way to keep themselves healthy. So it's a great process, and looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah. And I'll just end that with saying, if you have farming for crops, farming for wildlife, if your soil's healthy, if your environment's healthy, you're going to go through droughts, late freezes, whatever, much, much better. Just like if your body's really healthy, not all diseases, most diseases, you go through a little bit better, right?
Right.
You just can carry yourself through it better. So you're going to go through minor droughts or storms or whatever, cold fronts, whatever, a lot better here. And George's the release process applies to timber management as well as food plots, and you've released creation's potential, which is another way to sit back and learn about creation and the creator and his plans for us, his plans for this, because we read the early explorers, trees are even thinner than this. They could see so far, all the vegetation. So understanding creation, and even more importantly, the creator and his will for our life, well, that's the best way to live, and I encourage you to seek the Creator's will for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.